Welcome in, guys. It's Brandini with Tribal Awakening Ministries, and I have the Divine Feminines Presents The Naked Truth, Episode 5. And tonight it's going to be titled after a piece of a song by Lauryn Hill, and the part of the lyrics that are a part of the thumbnail on this video is about this song quote, which is, "Everything is everything. What is meant to be will be. After winter must come, spring, change. It comes eventually." Spirit actually guided me to channel this Divine Feminine Naked Truth episode based on these lyrics and the words in the volume that they carry. When I was shuffling at the end of the Divine Masculine read, these 4 chakra cards came out. So they were actually the very first cards to come out tonight. So I went ahead and I pulled the Divine Counterpart and Separation cards for the what is the Divine Feminine dealing with in the past situation? What is the Divine Feminine dealing with currently? What is the Divine Feminine thinking about, and what is in her headspace? Okay. Of these 2 decks, the overall energies start with death to the old and forgiveness. A synchronicity mirroring to the Divine Masculine energy in his heart space, and the forgiveness that he's feeling. The energy of forgiveness, the transformation, the expansion. This is in the Divine Feminine's overall energy, where, in a sense, what is meant to transpire is about renewal, a sense of renewal coming from forgiveness, a sense of completion, a death to the old as you will, and about perseverance. And I believe that that's Spirit's message in the sacral chakra, the root chakra, along with the third eye awakening that the Divine Feminine is experiencing on her quest at the moment, is about a sense of renewal. As I'm channeling this message tonight, I have been informed that we are now under a national curfew, which means everywhere across the nation, we are having to be within the confines of our homes by 11:59 p.m. And I'm just going to just try and remind everyone that it's probably a time where we probably should be at home with our families. Probably a time where we should probably take into consideration that sometimes the earth can stand still if it needs to. And at this point in time, it does need to. And the reason why, something told me to just go ahead and get the overall energy from the Messenger's Oracle. And the card that was underneath was Honor Gaia. And I'm going to start off this reading with the message from this card. The earth upon you dwell is more than just a rock covered in water, stone, and dirt. The earth beneath your feet, mountains, the forests, the rivers, lakes, oceans, and the air that you breathe are all a part of the magical living entity that is Gaia. She is our eternal mother, our provider, and our home. Gaia gives us life, and without her, we would not be. At this time, we are being asked to honor Gaia by loving her as much as you love yourselves. So, if we think about that, the fact that there is no travel, there is no trade going across the waters happening right now in most places of the world, most places of the world are standing still. And I really don't feel, at first, the distorted part of my mind would want to think, and this is from a divine masculine's or from a divine feminine's perspective here. The divine masculines are still heavy on our thoughts as well. I mean, anything that I say is definitely not something to be ignored, you know. Usually when I have fuck ups like that, it's the fact that this is so heavy that it's got the divine masculines really in their heart space right now, as well as the divine feminines. And Gaia, Mother Gaia, and I feel like very strongly from the feminine perspective that Mother Gaia is really asking humankind to just stand still for a few moments and really ask ourselves what is really important. In the pandemic, we've witnessed, fear mongering, fear consummation of goods, panic buying is what I'm talking about. I can't even wrap my mind around it. And when I tap into our great mother Gaia energy, and I channel the great divine feminine, I feel her pain because the world is so extremely polluted. For the fact that right now everything is at a standstill, we're not causing further pollution upon the earth. And right now, a lot of us on a collective level, we've been channeling oceanic energies, animals, dolphins, sharks, other sea life creatures, because our pollution affects sea life the most. Everything that we've done to try to further advance from a point of toxicity, we've created collectively so much pollution upon the earth that we've been asked multiple times to slow down or to go a different route as to how we consume things, evaluate our needs from our wants. Everything has become, who can become the most popular company on the stock market. We've really forgotten what really provides us abundance and sustenance. And Gaia is here tonight from the divine feminine perspective to remind the collective that this change that we're experiencing at the moment is a direct message from the spirit upon which we live to put a death and a completion to some of our behavior and the way that we treat this planet. I could use one thing, I could use multiple things as an example, but You know, I do know that some of the trash upon the earth could be taken and houses can be built from it with earth materials, in a sense. You know, like a lot of the tires that we throw away can literally build earth walls to build a home that's energy efficient for summertime and wintertime. Um, you know, a lot of these thoughts from just me channeling, you know, from what I've experienced in my observation over the winter months, coming out of winter and coming into spring, and being faced with this national and worldly cry. It's really not something that at this point in time, it's hard for me to sway not into the fear that the world creates in this pandemic as an empath. Um, but I know that on this mission, you know, everything that is happening is about perseverance toward renewal. Um, because that's a part of my life path. That's a part of my life mission. For TwinFlames, that's the miracle of what we do. The Divine Feminine is really having this awakening where we, as a collective, need to exact upon the world some kind of forgiving, nurturing nature. And at this point in time, I feel like the messages from Spirit to all of us are for the fact that we truly need to understand that the laws of man really don't matter at this point in time anymore. And there's something that we have to do as a collective, government, the people, everyone that would have a position to live upon the world that we breathe air from and walk upon her great spirit need to understand is that the laws of the universe will always precede and succeed the laws of man. It has been this way since the beginning of time, before time was ever created in any dimension. It's something that must be acknowledged and understood by every single person that can call themselves human, no matter what status you hold. And the great Divine Mother, the mother that we live upon, is sending this message out to the collective. More of a cry, because she doesn't want to see devastation. In this card, underneath that, it's crazy because it says, let go of the old. I see a peacock here, but on the other side of this card, I see a phoenix.
Out with the old, in with the new.
There is a call from the divine to the spirits here on earth that are called into divine purpose to not only know your fears, but do not fear the unknown. At this time, divine wants us to very strongly embrace the feminine, embrace the masculine, and know your power and where you stand in this world. To fear the unknown is to only hold you back and keep you in a place of stagnancy and toxicity. And this is the awakening message of the goddess, and what the messengers are trying to tell us through the Divine Feminine Collective right now is to honor this earth, to cast out the fears that keep us from moving toward the unknown for the greatest good, and to remind us of our power. From individual to every single human being within the collective of this world. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and at first, I want to share some quotes to you guys by Lauryn Hill. I chose the everything is everything and what is meant to be will be. After winter must come, spring change, it comes eventually. I chose that quote because to me, and obviously to Spirit, it made sense. Where does the Divine Feminine Collective stand at this particular time? Well, we stand to release the old. We stand to honor Gaia and excite change in this world for the positive. We are ready for this chance to aid the collective of trying to renew this planet before it's too late. It doesn't really matter at this point from spirit sources from spirit source and from the cosmic beings that I'm divining this message from. According to them, the laws of man, I hate to disrespect the people in power, but the laws of man will not ever exceed the laws of the universe. This is something that must be accepted, and it will be repeated, and it will be displayed and shown through other means of natural means necessary to get humankind to complete this cycle of shit that it has created for itself. That's just putting it politely from some of the angels who are seriously disgruntled, and from some of the angels who have been tirelessly working with the collective to help it get its shit together. So, anyway, this comes from the ideal of another quote that I found by Lauryn Hill, and from my own experiences and understandings of humanity and what's coming and what we've predicted through our own awakenings and stepping out of the matrix, awakening from the matrix and pulling ourselves away from the matrix. This resonated pretty hard with me, so I'm going to share it with you guys. It says, "Now don't you understand, man?" This is a part of another song that she's written. You would probably find it on her MTV Unplugged sessions, which is where I found it. But anyway, it says, "Don't you understand, man, universal law? What you throw out comes back to you. Star, never underestimate those who you scar, because karma, karma, karma comes back to you hard." If you really follow Vedic astrology right now with the planetary alignments that have happened over the last 7 to 9 months, you would definitely understand from some of the astrological divinations from Vedic astrology, you would definitely be able to piece together every little single thing that has happened in the world and will continue to happen in the world. It's basically predictable to a precise calculation on exactly what is going to happen, when it will happen during the planetary alignments, and thus far what has transpired with the coronavirus, with some of the worldly affairs that we have going on that involve weapons, warfare. Um, all of these are threats to humanity and always have been. But to be reminded of the fact that this is something that shouldn't be looked at all of a sudden just because a pandemic strikes. Usually when a pandemic strikes, or when we have national crisis or worldly crisis, it's an act of spirit that happens upon the world. And when the angels are moving through us all to witness the happenings that are taking place, to not only witness them, but to nurture them, to understand them, and to let go of what doesn't serve anymore. On my particular journey, because I've experienced the fall of Atlantis, the fall of Lemuria, and other great dynasties upon the world, I've lived in multiple lifetimes, and I've experienced devastation and catastrophe. And I was put here on this mission during this time with the rest of you guys to witness what is taking place and to understand that in my logic, I have to find a solution, because I feel like that's my greatest task on this mission with you guys. And so for me, that's a part of my completion here, to find a solution to this part of evolution that is hopeful for mankind. One that embodies the love, the respect, and the guidance of the spirit upon which I live, which is Earth, which is Gaia. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the cards, because I want to know what is really happening from the mind, from the life of the divine feminine at this point in time. And so what I've talked about thus far is only what I've been channeling, okay? So let's get into this. The first off, we have the number 12 card, which is a different perspective. I would consider this the Hanged Man card in the tarot. I do believe this is a tarot deck, but it's also an oracle deck in one. So it does have 78 cards. This is a deck that was created by Made for Love. She has her own YouTube channel. She is from Trinidad and Tobago. And I love her reads, because she'll actually give you messages back and forth from the divine masculine perspective, but the feminine as well. And I love the way that she connects the two in the 5D with their daily conversations, the masculine and the feminine speaking to each other directly. But anyway, what's going on in the divine feminine's present life? There's this energy of going through hell to get to heaven kind of energy at the moment. And it's kind of propelling the divine feminine forward to gain a different perspective during this time. You know, There's also the number 38, which is Destiny Calls. She's getting this call from the divine to step into her destined role. Balance is needed, and this is in her heart space. To clarify different perspective, we have faith. We have grief for, is it worth it? Is it worth the suffering? Is everything the divine feminine contemplating about what is going on in the world, is it worth the suffering? The divine feminine is being called to have faith, to see past the suffering, to see what is really taking place in the world right now. The divine, the destiny calls, the clarification that we got to that is sacral chakra energy. It's about being in service to others right now during this time of need. We also have another third eye chakra card, which is about mysticism. The divine feminine is resorting to mysticism to find balance in her world right now. What's wrong with a little mysticism? I'll tell you what's right with it. Mysticism is a part of divine guidance. Mysticism is a part of faith. It is a part of the energy that helps convert lower vibrational energy into that transformation from negative to positive, balancing grief with faith and mysticism. This is what is happening in the divine feminine's world right now. Balancing faith and mysticism with grief and service. Service to humanity, service to the collective, service to herself, service to the ones around her. So anyway, I'm going to pull one more card for faith. We're going to see why the faith card is here, along with different perspectives. I'd like to just get one more card for each. For grief, we have recovery. For, I feel like the workaholic card goes there, to service. Now it's time for divine feminines to release. Recovery. Okay, we're going to find out what's going on here. Perception. All right. For the divine feminine world, through prayer and acceptance, helping each other, forgiveness, it's bittersweet. The divine mother is always here to remind us that through prayer and acceptance of each other during these times is bittersweet. This energy has such a powerful capability to restore faith and recover humanity from any dark time. And so divine feminines are really being called to action here in the recovery of the karmic devastation that has just befallen the planet. Okay. And I say karmic devastation is because humankind kind of collectively manifested what is currently happening now in the world. This is a result of all of the thoughts and the actions and the words that we've put out in vibration. As we speak it, we create it. We've just taken a very heavy hit from Saturn in our Rahu and in our Ketu, which I really feel like at this point in time, it doesn't affect your birth chart. I mean, it doesn't matter what area of your birth chart you want to look at it. I feel like as a collective, we have strongly taken a huge hit with this worldly pandemic that has taken place, which is a reminder that all of us collectively, every single person on this planet, I don't give a shit what color you are. I don't give a shit what social background you come from. I don't give a shit where you walk or how you talk or what your job status or what your purpose is on this planet. For every single fucking person that lives, walks, and breathes on this rock right now is in a state of release, is in a state of grief. A lot of people are being called to service in different ways because their workaholic tendencies have been ceased to a halt. You know, the whole state of the whole entire world is going to have to go through a state of recovery after this situation. And we are being looked at to make better decisions, to not create more karma that would affect the world on an entire global scale like this one. This is what the Great Awakening is about. It's about the fact that it doesn't matter who is in power. The fact of the matter is that everyone is in power and everyone is responsible for the karmic sweep that is taking place upon the world. And we have to take responsibility for that shit. The whole entire world has to take responsibility for every single one of its choices and every single one of its actions. And it doesn't really matter what side of the fence you stand on. I mean, people could go into global battles over, you know, money and politics and why the whys of why the fuck is all this shit happening and why are we being a witness to this. It's to awaken our perceptions on the mysticism of being a fucking human being, period. And it really can't get much clearer than that now. And it doesn't take a couple of readers on YouTube to divinely spread that truth around, you know? It's forcing us into a state of understanding to rejuvenate through this release that is taking place, to stay at home, to cherish our families, to value what the fuck we do have, because we're in a state of fear already as it is, that every fucking thing and every one of our freedoms can be jerked away from us at any God-given time. It's to appreciate the small things in life. It's probably a message that we need to fucking downsize a little bit. Instead of going and buying out of fucking fear so much toilet paper that you don't know what to do with yourself, while other people out there are completely and utterly struggling for one square of toilet paper. And they're going through their cars, they're going through their kitchen drawers to see if they've got extra napkins laying around. People are running out of fucking toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and all of this other shit. Divine feminines are like, okay, well, is this really fucking worth it? We're actually grieving for the world right now. And I know deep down in the present moment, in the crown chakra awakenings that divine feminines are having right now, we're having to release loss already. Like, we're releasing that inner energy of loss that we already carry from past lives. So this is hitting us very hard in the physical world right now. This is why we need to stay focused, because we're afraid. We're afraid that it's going to happen all over again. And we don't need to. This is why we cannot feed into the fear of what is taking place in the world right now. Everything that is taking place is a cycle of completion. We've just completed a major karmic cycle of completion. And what usually happens during this time is there will be a great world cleansing. That is what is taking place right now. And we will recover. A lot of intuitive people are having faith through prayer and understanding through different perspectives. There is faith. We need to have faith in recovery right now. Okay? We need to have faith in recovery. It's natural to go through a grieving process. Is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it, even if it hurts, even if we lose people, even if we're on the front lines, even if we are infected. It's not just a virus that can come through and infect people. It is the power of perception that can be toxic as well. We are also experiencing this at this time, the power of toxic perception and how it is manifesting itself in the world right now. For people that have been workaholics and have been throwing themselves into work, this is a divine calling to service and understanding that there's a certain level of service that we need to be putting toward our families, toward ourselves. This is the truth. For all of the workaholics out there that are pushing themselves to no end, this is like a call from spirit to you. In the divine feminine perspective of her heart space being open, her heart is open to the perception that mysticism is the way to balance, understanding the mysticism of who you are and truly standing in the neutrality of it, from the darker natured things to the lighter natured things. Prayer is powerful at this time. Okay, so prayer is really powerful at this time, and perceptions are changing. But I think overall, in the divine feminine's heart space, she's trying to tell the collective, and even going through her own changes in balance within her own perception. There's a magic that is happening here that we may not fully understand. Sorry, I feel like every time I could yawn in the middle of a reading, spirits here. I also have that high vibrational pitch sound in my ear, knowing that the angels are also with me. Divine Feminines, this is a message from Spirit to say that it's time for you to use your powers of mysticism and perception to help this world recover, to help give this world faith again, to help change the perspective of the people that wouldn't understand before, but now they're being called by Spirit to understand now what is really happening. We need to shift our perspective to destroying this world and not loving it as if we would love ourselves. And Divine Feminines kind of have a lot of power in this world. Even Prince said, and I hate to be vulgar when I say this, but the song Pussy Control by Prince, he was not afraid to worship the feminine stance, even in himself. The man was so comfortable within his masculinity that he could totally embrace his feminine side and totally not give a fuck. He would still rock those high heels on fucking stage with his frilly fucking lacy shirts and play the shit out of that guitar and still romance the shit out of some of the most hottest women that came across him. Like, oh, I'm sorry, but Apollonia was hot as fuck, guys. Divine feminine hotness. For real. Okay? And he still managed to. The song is about the fact that women have the power, and not just for what's between their legs. They have the power to literally have the voice of commandment over beings of creation and lower level energies. And I mean, if you just really listen to the song and get past what you think is vulgar about it, just listen to the song lyrics and you'll understand exactly what the fuck I mean right now. It's time for divine feminines to put themselves in that nurturing ability and understand that they are the key to positive manifestation. It's the divine feminine perception and the loving nature of a divine feminine or the inner feminine within any masculine out there. I don't care who you are. If you're tapping into the earth, any kind of earth energies whatsoever, you can tap into the fact that the perception of the feminine mysticism and the mysticism within Mother Earth, the spirit upon which you live, it's a time to slow down and put yourself into service to a divine calling, to nurture every part and every aspect of your life and appreciate it to the highest good right now. It's a message for everyone, divine feminine and masculine alike, and for all of the collective divine souls that are here on this planet at this particular time, to stand in the mission, not only for yourselves, but love the earth as well as much as you would love yourself. To take care of one another. And I'm also getting the message that, now is a time to treat animal life as if it is sacred, because it is. And for anybody that would excessively and greedily consume animal life to the point where you no longer respect its nature and you feel it necessary to consume it, the virus was a warning to humanity to start living more holistically and to stop slaughtering cattle as if it's going out of fucking style, or as if we're you know, having to reproduce cattle and clone shit, you know, like now we're getting into parts of a cycle that it's becoming disrespectful. Okay, that's all my spirit guides will say right now. They don't want to you know what? Yeah, they do. They want the truth to be known. It's time to stop slaughtering cattle and treating them cruelly. It's time to stop fucking eating things that we know we shouldn't and putting things in our body that we know we fucking shouldn't. The messages collectively, spiritually, are getting thicker and thicker. And we're being warned to get our shit together. We're being warned to treat life as if it's sacred, because it is. And this is why we're being called to slow the fuck down and to gather a different perspective about taking care of our bodies, taking care of our animals, and treating them with love and respect and not with cruelty, and to continue to cram the shit into our bodies and disrespect life itself in the process. This is about finding a more natural source of energy before we fucking destroy the world that we live upon. This is about eating more organically so that we can save some of the beautiful creatures that live upon this planet before we wipe them out into extinction. Because the way that we're injecting these animals right now is not only fucking killing them, but it's killing us. And this is a fight to the death for our survival, no matter how we slice it. We're all here to die anyway. So every dog has its day. That's all I can say. But anyway, Gabriel, when I channel these messages from the Archangel Gabriel, is really hard for me to dumb down the energy that he exudes to me and the passion that I feel in my veins whenever he is speaking to me and I'm channeling the exact thing that is coming out of his mouth or what I hear in my head him say to me. And grievous destruction has come as a form of karma for our actions. And we're being told and we're being shown right now that prayer is very important, and it's very important for us to be on a spiritual path and to align with our true selves during this time. Acceptance of spirit, that spirit moves, that spirit creates these situations here in the 3D world from human to human contact. And while it's triggering, you know, forgiveness, it's always bittersweet in the forgiveness aspect of things upon creation. And reminding ourselves that if we just repent for the shit that we do, that we know is wrong, spirit is always in the energy of forgiving us. And this isn't just about us being in an energy of forgiveness. There are things that we need to atone for as a human race, as a collective entity. There are some things that humanity must atone for to spirit, for taking advantage of the blessings that we're given. and that are given to us every single day. It's why we're being called into the state of gratitude, to be grateful for what the fuck we do have, to be grateful for the fact that we have the ability to have the breath of life at the moment, in this dimension, to have these ascensions, to have these awakenings, to have these understandings, and to be able to put ourselves into service for the highest good. This isn't about working our asses off to the point where we're working our fingers to the bone for nothing and for no reason. It's about every part of our intention to help humanity evolve and to change its perception and to push us in this direction of new beginnings and new understandings and literally the world pulling together and cleaning up its act as a whole. Because if we don't, this world is going to self-destruct anyway, no matter what we do. And it doesn't matter who the fuck thinks they're in power, and it doesn't matter if it's a battle of one collective energy or another. It doesn't matter if we're going to fight with aliens or if the aliens are going to come here and fight with each other. Whether humans and demons are fighting or whether demons and angels are fighting, it really honestly doesn't fucking matter at this point. What Gaia is really saying is that the perception that we need to fucking change is that, cosmically, there's a mysticism about human beings that, if we don't stay in an energy of where we can recover from grief and release the loss that we've suffered and create a world that is worth living in, we'll all ultimately self-destruct, because a collective mind is a hive mind, and a hive mind functions multiple different ways. If you think about the ways that bees function in the world, it takes a collective amount of worker bees to form one hive mind to build an entire empire. And it's the same way for human beings. It's why it's like why bees are the bee's knees of the world. Like, if bees didn't exist, the plants and the trees and none of the plant life here on Earth would pollinate itself. Between the birds and the bees, you have the birds and the bees pollinating things, allowing things to grow whenever springtime comes after winter, when winter kills everything off. It's a part of it's a part of a indestructible balance, and in order to keep this world balanced and to be able to have balance here, a lot of perceptions need to change. And until they do, Spirit is going to make things happen, like plagues, war, famine, and pestilence. He's going to create these scenarios for the world to deal with until we can stop the bullshit, basically. So, when they say that the laws of man do not compare and never will completely, they will never override the laws of the universe. And that's something that humanity must accept. Also, in the process, we have to understand that what we do, it comes back to us. And from a hive mind point of view, I would rather see humanity collect its thoughts and understand that if we motivated ourselves as a collective, we could truly change the outcome from gloom and doom to something that we could rise above in a positive sense, where we could implement positive changes without creating pandemics. We could implement positive changes by allowing meditations into school and we get to implement positive changes upon the world by changing our diets and not eating unhealthy food and not slaughtering animals to the point where we're injecting them with poison, where we're poisoned by cancer, disease, plagues, and other forms of pestilence. I mean, so many things can be done, but this is the power of perception and coming out of the illusions of it. And that is what is happening in this world right now. That is what's taking place. But the mysticism of it is what divine feminines really need to connect to right now. And what divine feminines really need to help the world connect to right now, because this is our mission. We are the divine messengers. We are the priestesses. We are goddess incarnate. We are nurturers. We are lovers. We are children of Gaia. We were created in the image of her spirit, which resides in earth. Barbel Zoa, the great divine feminine, the mother of all mothers, the mother of all goddesses, the titan that sleeps but never sleeps. The great mother who always has open arms. So anyway, the lesson to be learned here, though, is that love is an incredible thing, but we do not know love like we should. Unconditional love, we don't know it, because if a person stops stimulating us, we stop loving them. That was another lyrical quote by Lauryn Hill. And I chose Lauryn Hill because she started to wake up from the Matrix a long ass fucking time ago. And I've always loved her music. I've followed her since she was a part of the Fugees back in the 90s, 1996, 95. That was the year of the Fugees. And her lyrical content throughout the span of her career is beyond phenomenal. But if I were going to keep myself, I listen to her music because she functions on that higher level frequency. It's why I would resonate most definitely to most of the artists that I do listen to now. But I was channeling her really hard. Because it's time, as divine feminines, it's time for us to understand and acknowledge that what is meant to be will be, and we have to trust in spirit, our own discernment and our own intuition, our own guidance, to spring forward from anything that happens right now, to know that we are going to be a part of the world's recovery after this situation finds its resolve, and it will. And I do believe that spirit wants us to understand that this situation will be resolved. But this is all happening for a reason, and it's meant to wake us up. It's meant to make us take responsibility. It's meant to make us slow down the workaholic bullshit and to put ourselves into service, to truly be of service to other people in times of need. It's to truly get us to pull together every part of our communities to stand together and to stand united, not only taking care of ourselves and abiding by the rules. Because I do believe that no matter what anybody might want to say about our government, I do believe that there are beings of light and love that are a part of the changes that are taking place right now within the government standpoint. So there's a huge part of me that trusts that there are people looking out for our greatest good in the situation. That may not be the case for all of the people that may be politically connected to all of the changes that are taking place. I do believe that there are people out there that have a different agenda, and so does everyone else that is awake or coming into their awakening. We all know that there's two sides to every coin, and no matter what sides of the coin are being played right now, divine feminines have to stay strong because we are going to be needed to help aid the balance of what is taking place right now. And to continue to allow our energy to fuel the positive change in perceptions that need to take place during this time, during these awakening, grand awakenings, grand risings, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I mean, divine callings is the best way that I can describe it. They are divine callings. They are divine messages for the collective. We are getting through everything that is taking place for us to witness right now in the world. There's just no escaping the infinite balance of creation, death to old things, and new beginnings happening. I do believe that a lot of things about the way that we conduct business from this point on are going to be more methodical. They're going to be more strategized and more planned out. I don't believe that after this point in time, the United States is going to leave itself open and more vulnerable to any more deception in the world. I feel like if anybody's going to bust through any point of disclosure, it might be Trump. But anyway, back to spirit. So spirit's calling us to release the grief of what is taking place right now and to put ourselves into service to others by just slowing down and understanding that everything that is happening right now is happening to take precaution. And it's for our well-being, and there will be a state of recovery after that. So when the world goes back to normal, we're going to have a lot of things that we're going to have to step up our game to kind of balance out. So the world at this point in time is going to need all the positivity that it can get, and prayer would most definitely be where you would need to be right now. So anyway, I'm going to pull some tarot. I'm going to get one message from a tarot card for each situation. I feel like something to be learned from the lessons of the past is that something from the past is going to be blossoming within what is happening within this transformation of faith and recovery. I do believe this is really about a lot of releasing illusions right now in the present. The angels of temperance are here. This is why They're slowing people down in their tracks because they want everyone to slow the fuck down and really evaluate a way to bring true, honest balance to the world right now. The Divine Feminine Collective is being called to help the world during this transition right now come out of this perception of betrayal and darkness. And anxiety, not to create more anxiety upon the world, because I feel like with the Nine of Cups underneath and the overall energy right here, the Divine Feminine is trying to build a way for wish fulfillment. The Divine Feminine will be the tool to help people build a life toward their wish fulfillment. And this is what the Divine Feminine Collective is being called to do, to help humanity right now in mission. And I really feel like it's just about getting over the battle of worrying and fearing that it can't be done. Releasing the grief to take the next step. And kind of walking through the illusions right now. Kind of clearing out those illusions so that you can release that energy of what was lost, to understand why it was lost. And that everything that we go through to get us to a higher plane of existence is worth the struggle. It's worth the struggle to go through the shit we go through to gain enlightenment. So it's really about clearing out that energy of the past where, you know, nice guys finish last, and understanding that success, you know, it can really blossom from the lessons we've learned. That's why temperance is here. Also making us slow down, have more patience, being more grateful, spending more time with our families, putting focus more toward our families than social media, because a lot of people are clicking off the news. A lot of people, you know, we understand, we know what's going on, but a lot of people are really trying not to be deceived. This is the Lover's card. A lot of people are trying to be very cautious about temptations right now, which is, you know, to be very, very much it needs to be taken under advisement anyway, to not break the rules at this time, because at this time, if you break rules under martial law, you are going to be subject to some very painful measures of punishment. So if you guys will just fucking stay calm, okay, and just believe in the powers of magic and protection and perception, and stay the fuck in your house when you're told to stay in your house. After 14 days, you can leave quarantine and everything will go back to normal. But it's only for 14 days, guys. Like, it's only for a short period of time, you know. But we all need to think in these times, not about apocalyptic kind of shit and a death to the old, meaning, oh, the apocalypse is here, you know. Well, the apocalypse will come if you bring it upon yourself. And that is always going to be the hardest, most painful part of the truth that I'll ever spit to you in this journey. But the fact of the matter is you can't fucking lie to yourself. And the Divine Feminine from within is channeling that through me right now to you guys. But this is the message from the Divine Feminine to the collective. You know, the Great Divine Feminine wants us to release the energies of grief that blind us. Okay? Because we don't see correctly when we should. We don't become very fruitful when we need to be. Anxiety would block abundance, okay? It's just a message from the Empress. This is a message from the Great Goddess. That balance needs to happen right now. And in a collective sense, you know, there may be mysteries to why. The moon is here. Sometimes being guided by moon energy can be kind of destructive, but there's always a method behind the madness. So while we don't understand what the methods are behind this fucking madness and this chaos that's going on the world right now, we have to understand that it's to clear out that fear that we carry from the past. And I'm really feeling that very strongly right here. This is about divine feminines being the key to recovery. We felt the loss of Atlantis. We still feel that deep in our hearts today. It's why when these pandemics happen, we're scared to fucking death. Anytime. Like we've witnessed lives of chaos and genocide and destruction. You know, I've seen it multiple lifetimes. I've seen it, you know, in some of my first incarnations here, which were in the Egyptian times, and it was in a time of kings and pharaohs and divinity, where divinity, like gods, literally walked the planet. And you could definitely tell the fucking difference because human beings were much smaller than these creatures. Gods were at least 8 foot tall and they looked exactly like us, but they were just bigger. I mean, I've seen it from all different perspectives. I've seen crazy shit. But there's always a mystery to be revealed at the right time. And we'll know. And I don't feel like it's completely like, oh, doom and gloom. Like, I don't really, honestly, I don't. I feel like the tower moment's already come. Like, I feel like this is an opportunity for humanity to find its independence, away from the grief, away from the confusion. It's happening with temperance. Just felt like I needed to get a little bit more clarification. This is new beginnings, guys. Maybe this pandemic was enough of a scare for the world to actually truly really start to care about itself a little bit more. Maybe this is bringing on a different revolution of love, of taking the blinders off